Only a 12th level intellect has the slightest hope of surviving what you are about to experience.
What if Batman had Superman's powers and Superman had Batman's non-powers, but I guess like his being smarter, being gooder at fighting powers. So they essentially swap what they can do, but they are the same people like inside, soul-wise, and they fought each other. Would Batman as Superman still like be able to kick more ass because now he has all these powers that he knows how to control better, probably? Or would Superman as Batman kick more ass? Like, when they fought, because Superman now has like Batman's knowledge of how to fight and stuff, but
right.
he also doesn't have super strength anymore.
You think Superman does have all of his knowledge? Because I'm over here thinking like, oh, Batman's got all these years of training, he's gone through all this stuff, and now all of a sudden he has these godlike powers. He's gonna definitely kick ass. Whereas Superman didn't go through all that training. Like, so maybe he doesn't know.
No, so I guess
skills.
My scenario is that Batman. So Bruce Wayne, he retains all of his training and stuff, but now he has also all of Superman's powers. And Superman now, but he retains all of his like experience as Superman with whatever that is. But now he also inherits Batman's knowledge of fighting and science and whatever.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Well, I still think Batman would win anyway.
I guess Superman is still losing out on stuff. Like, Batman gets to be Batman with Superman's powers. Superman gets to be Batman with no powers.
Yeah, that's basically what you're saying is like they all both have Batman's mind, but now Batman has the powers.
Has Superman powers, yeah.
And Superman does not.
I guess Batman with Superman's powers would still win, probably.
Well, so wait, but that would also mean that Batman now has Superman's weaknesses, and but does Superman still have his weaknesses? Like, if he pulls out kryptonite in this scenario, does it hurt both of them? I think it would hurt both of them.
He just pulls it out, and they both
just the kryptonite.
What have you done? That's how it ends.
Yeah, that's the only answer.
Super Batman thinks he's really smart, but then they both die. Well, welcome back to another episode of 12th Level Intellects. This is stuff that we talk about here because we're really smart. This is a weekly geek entertainment podcast hosted by the Watchtower Database. My name is James Strecker, and this man across from me is Ted Kendrick.
Thank you. That's me.
And by across, I mean on a computer, because we're not in the same room, and we never are. We give away the secrets. There was this San Diego Comic-Con or something, and there's so many things I don't know what to talk about first.
There's a lot. Let's talk about the animated movies.
Yeah, we can try to keep it narrowed to things that do have more to do with what we usually talk about, I guess. So like DCAU stuff, but we're going to talk about everything, or a lot.
The big trailers, I mean, that's our main topic, is we're going to analyze like the Aquaman and the Shazam trailers that were dropped.
Right.
But yeah, there were a bunch of other things, like particularly DC animated original movies had some awesome news. We know that Death of Superman just came out on streaming as of Tuesday the 24th.
Yeah, we tried to watch it for this, but we couldn't.
Yeah, we'll talk about it at the next episode.
Yeah.
But so we know that Reign of Superman is the follow-up movie. It's part 2, and that comes out
where
early
it rains
2019.
a bunch of Supermans.
Yeah,
like
it's
the rain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it rains, it pours.
Downpour.
Yeah. The
ultimate references. Go.
Exactly.
I entertain myself over here.
We need to eradicate those jokes now. That's another Reign of Superman joke. I'm such a super boy with all my good jokes. Okay, anyway.
Can you stop?
Yeah, well, you started it. So after Reign of Superman, we
This is
have
what the people come here for. Yeah,
we have
go.
Batman Hush. Batman Hush, we don't know yet if it's going to be part of this new 52-ish
Right.
sort of animated
I would
style.
guess not, because
I
they
hope
usually
not.
do. They usually do one a year, like one non-new 52-ish and one new 52-ish. And if they're already doing Reign of the Superman,
Right,
as
and that's
that,
one of
then they're
them.
probably not. Yeah.
But it's still possible Batman Hush could be. I do expect Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy to return for that movie. I would be very surprised if they didn't,
yeah.
because they've kind of rumored it before.
There was like that and Killing Joke were there too. Like, we'll do those if they ever do those. kind of
Yeah,
thing,
exactly. But it'd be really cool to see Hush in animation. That movie is also going straight to the DC Universe streaming platform. So that's the only way you'll be able to
okay.
watch Batman Hush is through
Oh,
there.
I have some thoughts on all of the DC Universe stuff going on, but we can talk about that eventually.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't want to say it's the only way. Maybe it'll come out on DVD, but I know that they're releasing it first to the streaming platform. So,
What's if it was in the new 52 kind of, what do you even call that? The new,
know, we have
the
to
new
come up
DCAU.
with a better.
I don't know.
Yeah,
The modern DCAU, whatever. But it's not shows; it's just movies. It'd be like if they only made Mask of the Phantasm and then Sub-Zero, and we were like, "It's a universe, lol." But yeah, does Jason Todd already exist in that? Have we seen him in that universe, in that world of Batman movies? I can't even remember.
I don't think we have. We've seen Nightwing, Batwing, Batwoman, Damian Wayne.
Damian,
but I
yeah.
think they skipped Jason and Tim. It's possible. I mean, but the fact that we have Dick Grayson as Nightwing leaves it open that Jason and
Did it
Tim
happen or
could have
something?
existed. Yeah, I don't know if we know for
Because
sure.
part of Hush, like a big moment in Hush, is the red herring that it's Jason Todd, and,
Right.
And then, but would that? I mean, I guess when they did Court of Owls in Batman versus Robin, they barely did Court of Owls. Like it was there, but it was like integrated into an original story. So maybe they'll just do that, which I didn't really like. So I hope that they just kind of
They also touched on there was like the Grant Morrison story arc, Batman versus Robin, and it was part of his Batman and Robin series where they first put Damian Wayne in the Robin costume while Dick Grayson was in the Batman costume. So that's something that they did in that movie that I thought was pretty cool. But yeah. Anyway, so the other movies, Batman Hush. We've talked about Reign of Superman. There's also Justice League versus the Fatal Five, which I think is going to be in this new 52 universe as well. And the only reason why I think that, even though, yes, we do know that there's a lot of people out there who want to do a Justice League animated series reunion movie, and maybe this is this, but I don't think so, because we've seen like the last couple of Justice League animated movies for this. I mean, like we had Justice League versus Teen Titans, so like that versus sort of thing, Batman versus Robin. It seems like they like to use that versus in these animated movies, which if you listen to the last episode, you can. There's a lot of I substituted versus and ands.
I was like, what is he talking about?
Anyway, Fatal Five. That's going to introduce. They're mainly known for being villains from the Legion of Superheroes in the 31st century.
Yeah, they're in that Justice League Unlimited episode.
They are, characters like the Emerald Empress, who was actually featured pretty heavily in the Justice League versus Suicide Squad comic that came out last year.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So she was in the modern day.
Good times.
Oh, yeah, right? Ish, sort of.
I guess maybe that's what I was confused about, was like, why would they be fighting a group that's like 1,000 years ahead of them?
Because it's a crossover with the Legion. It's going to be a backdoor to introducing the Legion of Superheroes to this new animated universe.
Yeah.
I feel confident about that.
Yeah, I think if it was going to be a jail reunion, they would have announced that that's what it is.
Oh,
so people would shut up about it.
Yeah.
Like if they ever did a Snyder Cut, they're going to tell you like, hey, it's happening. Stop. Shut up.
Right.
So they would probably do that with this too.
Exactly. It's like, I don't know if this came out in the Comic-Con, but I saw that Star Wars was bringing back the Clone Wars for season 6.
Yeah, that was the thing.
And they ended that trailer with a hashtag like Clone Wars saved, because that was
Yeah,
the hashtag was Save Clone Wars, and then
Right.
they're like, we did, and we recognize all the effort you put
Yeah.
into doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So that means it
yeah.
can work, but it's also annoying that we're kind of entering a time where people can make stuff like that happen. Like it's cool that they can make stuff like that happen, but it's also annoying because it means that anybody can just start bring back Men in Black the animated series, and then everybody freaks out and does a hashtag, and then they're just like, well, we have to do it, but it sucked then, so it's gonna suck again. Do you really want this? I don't know.
But they hashtagged it, so
yeah, they did a tweeter, so now it's gonna happen. I don't know. I don't know if I like that, but we'll see. I never watched Clone Wars, so I don't care enough. But it's cool
a few
to
random
see
episodes.
I didn't even know that it didn't finish. So, but knowing that it didn't, and they got it back, just kind of like a Young Justice thing.
Exactly. There's a big fan base, and yeah, it's good to reward the fans like that. There was another movie that was announced, Wonder Woman Bloodlines. There's a new Wonder Woman animated feature, and we don't really know much about it yet. I don't know what universe this Wonder Woman movie will be in, whether it'll be a follow-up from the 2009 movie. Is it 2009? I think it was 2009.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, maybe.
That Wonder Woman. I doubt that, though. It's
probably
been
not,
10 years later making a sequel.
That's why they're doing it.
It could be a Linda Carter Wonder Woman.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think
if it's
we're
called Bloodlines.
I
Yeah,
think
it
we're
could be
expecting one. I think we are supposed to be getting a Linda Carter
maybe.
animated movie. Yeah.
They did those Batman 66 crossover comics with her.
Mm-hmm. And they did those animated movies last year, and they were great.
Exactly.
Bloodlines is a comic book storyline from DC from the early 90s. Okay. I doubt it has anything to do with that, just because it was such a wacky sort of thing. It was a crossover that went through all the annuals of the books. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing that it did was introduce the character Hitman of the Garth Ennis series, not the video game. But yeah, it was just a way, kind of like how Dark Knight's Metal was at the end of it. It was oh, now there's all these new age of DC heroes that we had never seen before, but they got their powers because of the story arc. And that's basically all Bloodlines. Alien tampering.
You should do a Wonder Woman version of that Batman Beyond short. So it's just a bunch of different eras of Wonder Woman fighting each other or something.
That'd be kind of cool, I guess.
There's not
context
a lot
for it.
Yeah, there's not a lot to go from though. You got Linda Carter, you got the DCAU Wonder Woman, you got Super Friends Wonder Woman, you got Gal Gadot. Is that it?
I
don't know.
No, I mean there's
there's the unaired. There's the pilot 2011 pilot. There's the Big Bang Theory. There's yeah. I'm trying to find more animated stuff from the Comic-Con, but I'm so just Googling San Diego Comic-Con news is so overwhelming. There's so many different things.
Don't worry about it.
There was a new I think there was a new Into the Spider-Verse trailer, but it might have been the one that we've already seen.
They announced that Silk is spinning off into her own movie.
Oh yeah,
out of that also.
Out of that no one has seen yet.
Right, right. But they've already they've greenlit her character to
that was something that was bothering me, was people were asking what's his name? The Young Justice guy, the main guy.
Greg Weisman?
Yes. Hey, when are we gonna get Young Justice season 4? People kept interviewing him and asking him, they're like, you haven't wait. Right. You haven't even seen the third one yet.
3 watch that first, yeah.
Yeah, what if
well, the trailer for that came out. You want to talk about that trailer?
Yeah, that's true. You barely see any of the new season, but it still looks good. I mean, I guess
there's a lot of new God stuff. It looks like Bug the Forager is a big deal, and it seems like Blue Beetle and Impulse are hanging around New Genesis for an episode.
Yeah, it's interesting to me how season 2 ends on a cliffhanger of Vandal Savage goes to Darkseid, and everything we've been working on behind the scenes, we're gonna do more bad stuff now, and then it ended, and that's why people wanted it to come back. But it's taken so long to come back that like now we've had like 5 different giant Darkseid events in comics and movies and everything that's like it's not as like poignant anymore, I guess. I don't know. Like it's like when that happened, it was like the last big Darkseid thing was probably like the end of Justice League Unlimited. And it was like, wow, that's cool that they're gonna do Darkseid in this show too. And now we just like we got Batman vs Superman with Justice League, and we got the Darkseid War comics, and we got all this stuff like in the meantime.
Yeah.
That doesn't, to me at least, it doesn't make it seem as like holy crap. But obviously I'll still watch it. So
It used to be. It used to be a lot more intense. Do you think Darkseid's been oversaturated? Because he's definitely been
Maybe, yeah.
he used to be the big bad guy, and he still, I guess, kind of is. He's like the DC universe's, evil incarnate. Like, he's the devil of the galaxy.
I mean, he's been used way more times between his like first introduction and say Justice League Unlimited. Like in that time period, he's been used way more times than he has since Justice League Unlimited to now. But in that Justice League Unlimited to now time period, I feel like there's been way more of him like back to back, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but like just him appearing in like Batman the Brave and the Bold or something like that. Like you don't put him in things that aren't like giant things.
I mean, I don't know. I'd argue against that. Darkseid's like one of those characters who's always going to be around. That's what's kind of fun about the Fourth World. Like, to me, it's like they have kind of a Game of Thrones politics thing going on there, and that's what makes that really interesting. Particularly in the Mr. Miracle series by Tom King right now. They're doing some amazing stuff with
I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah, Darkseid's barely in it. He's actually dead in this, and Orion's taken over Apocalypse, which is really familiar. See Legacies #4. And
is he in? Did the creators argue about whether they should put him in a white robe or a blue Orion outfit?
Nope, they gave him Highfather's little purple
interesting.
sort of thing. Yeah, so they did it totally different.
They compromised. Yeah.
But yeah, Darkseid does pop up in the last issue, and that was
I guess it's just
it was
like
earned.
if
it was like issue 9 out of 12 before we first see Darkseid. So they really built up to it.
I guess for me, it's like if the metal, what's his name, Barbie,
Barbados.
If good old Barbie was in just like everything, if he was just like, oh, throw Barbados into Justice League action,
Well, and that's what made that character more interesting to me, is because we see him full-fledged demon mode in Metal, but we had seen hints of him in like Batman R.I.P. and
I just think keep
Bruce Wayne, Dark Knight, Dark City, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think keep Darkseid in the dark until you need him for a big thing, but don't use him for everything. But now he's like a
more
weird
special.
Yeah, he's a weird like teenager in a hoodie now. I don't know.
I was trying to explain Darkseid to a buddy of mine a couple of days ago, and like trying to really because we were talking in context of the Justice League movie, and it was like Darkseid, he's basically a Thanos of the DC universe, and I have like this book from the 1980s. It's a Legion of Superheroes. One of their biggest story arcs is the Great Darkness saga, and it builds up to this epic conclusion where it was like Darkseid's still around 1,000 years from now, and he's like just as bad, just as evil, and it was like such a big deal. It's like
he still hasn't found the anti-life equation.
Although they come down, like there's always that prophecy that Orion and Darkseid will get in a big fight, and that's like where their characters end, and we see that big fight happen a few times throughout DC Comics. It's like they keep calling back to that prophecy, so they do that in the Legion book. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I was gonna mention. You mentioned the Justice League movie, and it made me think of. There's a guy. I think the username on YouTube is Whiplash Dynamo, all one word. Who's making an unauthorized Snyder Cut, and this is something that I thought about doing this as soon as Justice League would come out on Blu-ray, but I've been so depressed about the movie that I didn't feel like doing it. But so
I wouldn't want to watch it that much. Yeah,
exactly. I had to watch Batman Harley Quinn so many times editing all those videos. I don't want to watch this movie. But so he's basically, it's what it sounds like. He's taking clips from the trailers that didn't make it into the movie, and kind of re-editing scenes based on what we know to be like the original intent of the scene and stuff like that, and taking out some of the jokes that didn't land very well and blah blah blah. And he's replacing all the music with Man of Steel and BVS soundtrack music. And I think like a couple other movies that either Hans Zimmer or Junkie XL wrote music for. And like he's posted, I think, 2, maybe 3 clips from it, just like little previews. One of them is when it puts back in the clip from the trailer of he said he'll fight with us, more or less, more or more or less. He said no. That whole little bit that was not in the movie.
Right.
And he cuts that in really well. I commented on the video and complimented him on it because he uses, because that's such a quick cut little moment in the trailer. I was like, how is he going to put that back in? And he shows the scene of Wonder Woman walking into the hangar of like Bruce Wayne's tweaking on the Batwing, not Batwing, but the big old ship,
the Fox or whatever they call it.
Yeah, and she's talking to him for a little bit, and then it cuts to them sitting at the computer, and they're watching the footage of Aquaman from Batman vs Superman, like where he's in like the wreckage or whatever with his trident kind of floating out, and so that's cut between the shots of them. He'll fight with us, more or more or less, all that stuff, and it like actually paces that moment really well. To where it seems like it could have been a scene in the movie. So I have faith in this man to do a good job of making the movie. I'm looking forward to watching it. I feel like people will still kind of give him crap for including some of the Joss Whedon moments that were not intended to be or like, quote unquote intended to be in the movie. But some of them need to be in order to like have an ending to the movie and stuff.
Right.
But
that's true. Well,
but yeah, that looks pretty cool. That's not San Diego Comic-Con news, but it was something I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. I still have hope that they're gonna release the Snyder Cut.
It seems pretty unlikely at this point. Like I think there was a big Washington Post, I think, or no, not Washington. What is it called? The one that you have to pay to read, in it, Wall Street Journal. I don't know, a big time thing talking about how Warner Brothers has no intention of releasing it and all this stuff. But I mean, it took like what 30 years or something to get the Richard Donner Superman 2.
Exactly.
So.
that's what I'm saying. It's like never say never.
Someone had a good point in the comments of that video that I was just talking about, where they're if Zack Snyder has not already made or authorized or whatever his version of the movie, perhaps the movie will, because he's talked about how he hasn't watched the theatrical version of Justice League, like he doesn't want to watch it, and people have hypothesized that that's because the movie will forever have a like traumatic attachment for him because of his daughter and getting fired and all this whatever happened, that he doesn't like. Why would he want, if something like that happened to you during filming of a movie, why would you want to go back and do anything more with that movie, I guess? Other than the fact that he's given like 6-7 years of his life to this universe or whatever, but it's not. Other than that, it seems like, why would he do that? I guess I don't know. I want there to be one. I want to see what he wanted to do, what he intended, which is so backwards from what you would expect us to have the opinion on, because like we're like, oh, Man of Steel's kind of boring. Oh, Batman vs Superman is such a mess. And then like, but I want to see Justice League by him though. It's so weird, but I do really bad. I don't know.
I know. I think DC also spoiled us by releasing extended editions of all of his other movies, except for maybe Man of Steel. But yeah. So
yeah, just kidding. This is what it was supposed to be. Oh, this is better. It's still kind of weird, but it's better. And then I don't know.
Well, I got.
Let's just get into the trailers and
I got some quick other little news. I just wanted to mention this because you talked about some of the stuff in the past.
Sure.
DC Universe streaming service. They announced their price. It is $8 a month or $75 a year. And I think if you get your subscription now, if you pay in advance, you might be able to be entered to win some Aquaman world premiere tickets. So that might be something to look into.
We're
if
not
you're
sponsored
interested.
by DC Universe.
We aren't yet. Hint, hint,
Yeah,
wink,
we're not
wink.
sponsored by anything.
All right. So other thing I was gonna say, Jeff Johns' Three Jokers series is coming near the end of the year. We mentioned it before. I don't know if we mentioned that's gonna be part of the DC Black Label, which is kind of like their out of continuity all-star creators. Like they've done stuff like this in the past where it's like all-star, is the like only all-star creators. So DC Black Label is going to include like the new Brian Azzarello, Lee Bermejo, Batman Damned book, which looks really amazing. They've worked together before on the Joker and Lex Luthor Man of Steel miniseries.
Okay.
Yeah, DC Black Label. But yeah, so Three Jokers is actually going to be in continuity. It's the only book that's in continuity that's part of this label. What else are they doing for it?
Isn't it like only 3 issues or something? That's what
I think so, because
heard.
there's 3 Jokers, 3 issues, a Joker.
I would, yeah. You would think. No, but that's kind of weird that it's so short, but I guess maybe they're going to build up to it quite a bit beforehand or something, and then kind of finish it with this book or
and
something.
I still expect that we might see some teaser sort of stuff in the Doomsday Clock series, but we have yet to know for sure.
There's on that subject, there's on Instagram, Batman the Animated Fan. He does a lot of cool he does a lot of action figure stuff where he'll like pose them in different little scenes and stuff, but he also does a lot of DCAU style artwork where he'll do recreations of classic covers, or he'll just do kind of original artwork of Batman animated series characters and stuff. And he redid the Three Jokers cover with the 3 different Joker designs from the DCAU. So that's pretty cool looking.
Nice.
You should go look at that if you're listening to this, and follow him and whatever. And also follow us, because we have way fewer followers than he does. Anyway, continue.
No, that's fair. Did the Teen Titans Go to the Movies come out? Is that out?
No, it's out. Well, by the time people are hearing this, yes, it's out in a couple days for us.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that some other time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna try to go see it on Friday, just for the sake of knowing if it's terrible or not.
It's gonna be a movie for sure.
Yeah, they go to the movies. In fact,
They
within
do.
the movie.
Yeah. I bet it's gonna have a lot of like breaking the fourth wall, sort of like very
Yeah, I mean they
deep
already
cut nerd jokes based off the trailer alone.
Yeah, it seems to be about Robin like wishing there was a Robin movie, but all the other superheroes get their movies. What the heck?
Well, Robin had his little spotlight in SDCC. He was like #fuck Batman.
God, I guess we can talk about the
Titans trailer. I think we have to. Do we have to talk about it? All right. Yeah.
I don't get excited for anything anymore. I'm so like oversaturated. I'm so like bombarded with everything.
You gotta pick and choose
nowadays. But like I was kind of looking forward to this show based on just like the character design, the costumes, because they released a bunch of cool like here's Robin, a couple poses of Robin, there's Hawk and Dove, yeah. And then the trailer is, oh my god, I don't know.
Yeah, Starfire's looking pretty rough.
That's what I was most confused about.
Raven looks alright.
Yeah. I think that the look of the characters, I think that Starfire is going to probably look different later or better or something, and that this is kind of just they don't want to reveal it or something.
It comes across as like that's in the trailer especially. All those clips are probably from like the first 1 or 2 episodes out of like the 13 they have. So I'm sure it's just like footage from the pilot.
And I still think that the like aesthetic of the show and the look of the costumes and everything looks really cool. I think just the way the trailer is cut makes it look like it's going to be like a Birds of Prey level like like a 2001 era CW kind of show. I don't know. It just reminds me of that kind of thing, like that they didn't really put a lot of effort into the writing, or I don't really know. I don't know how to describe what's messing me up with it, but it's not, something's off.
Yeah, well, it's Greg Berlanti is still in charge of the series, and he obviously is the showrunner behind Arrow, the Flash, and most of the CW superhero sort of universes.
I think there is something to say that it could be that it's not supposed to be taken seriously, I guess, like a Riverdale kind of version of Teen Titans or something.
I got that vibe. Mm-hmm.
Like it's a tongue-in-cheek, like they know that they're being like overly dark with it on purpose. Because like I showed Jessica, my wife, for non-Teds, that the trailer, the Titans trailer, and we have this joke between us, because every time that we're watching any of the CW Arrowverse shows, Riverdale commercials will come on, because it's like the CW app or the CW channel or whatever. And there was one that was going for a long time where all it was just each Riverdale character had their own like 30-second or maybe even like 10-second commercial of them just looking really moody at some sort of mirror, and like the mirror image of them would be like a darker version of them, and then they would have this like voiceover of just like one quote, like, I don't know what my life is going through right now, just like this overly like stupid dramatic thing. And one of them was the Jughead, I think that's the guy with the little crown. He's looking at a mirror, and it's just this like fading in, I don't fit in, I don't fit in, I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in. And then that's the end of the commercial.
Ooh.
And when we watch the Titans trailer, we keep saying that all the time as a joke. And when we watch the Titans trailer, it ends with Raven just like screaming and the screen shatters and stuff. And we're both just, I don't fit in. I don't fit in. So it's just, it is exactly the Riverdale version of these shows, I guess.
Which could be like a knee-jerk reaction sort of thing to Teen Titans Go, because of how opposite
the
that is.
Complete opposite. Yeah.
So
people really don't like Teen Titans Go. Let's do the antithesis of the
Exactly. Well, cool.
That's the end of us talking about that.
That's
now we
the
will now
news.
move on to the segment where we talk about the trailers. the two big trailers that came out in like the same day.
Yeah.
Right? Shazam and Aquaman. And which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's
We
start
got alphabetically.
with Aquaman. Alphabetically, also release date. Aquaman comes first. That's out in December.
Yes.
It's got obviously Jason Momoa, who's in the Justice League movie. We saw some glimpses, like it's definitely sets up this movie in that movie. We see Amber Heard's Mira. There were even scenes with Willem Dafoe's Vilko that got cut. And which we finally saw him on a poster. He's really tiny, but he's there. Oh, really?
Or not a post. It's like a magazine cover, but it's better than the actual poster. I can't remember exactly which magazine it was, but if you look up Aquaman magazine cover, it might come up.
I kind of want to see real quick. I'm curious.
He's very small. No one was talking about that, though. They're all like, oh, we finally get to see these 5 characters. And I was like, except the one I care about the most, seeing the most, is Volko, Green Goblin. It's the first look. I think it's supposed to be Aquaman's first time being to Atlantis is in this movie. So it makes me wonder does this take place before Justice League, and or does it happen like before and after Justice League? Like, do we just see like flashbacks of him seeing Atlantis for the first time, but the majority of the movie's after Justice League? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because even in the trailer, we see him as a little kid at the beginning of the trailer. He's a little kid.
Well, no, okay,
that's before Justice League.
I'm not. No, I think you're wrong. I think there's a spell cast on it. Yeah, no, I think he.
I mean,
the conversation between Aquaman and Mera in Justice League leads me to believe that he has been to Atlantis. He's talked to her already, and she's like, "You got to be king," and he's like, "No." And then Justice League happens, and then I guess this movie happens. But supposedly, according to what's his name, the Saw guy that's directing the movie,
James
you know what I'm
Wan.
talking about.
James Wan.
He's said that he like asked Zack Snyder, like, please don't put Aquaman seeing Atlantis for the first time in Justice League. Like, I really want to do that in my movie. And he's like, no problem, man, I won't do that. And then, you know, it's still intact for what their agreement was, I guess. But we still see him in Atlantis, so that kind of gets rid of a little bit of that. But he I guess that's what I'm saying is maybe there's some sort of flashback of him first arriving, or maybe the movie starts before Justice League and then does like a 2 years later thing or something. I don't know.
It could be like how they did Wonder Woman, how it was framed after Batman versus Superman, but then we flash back and see most of her origin.
But I feel like if the rest of the movie he's going on this big adventure with Mera and jumping out of planes and stuff, that's probably after Justice League. Because he probably ends the movie as king, I would guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so too. And especially since like Orm, his brother of Atlantis, is like leading an army against Earth. Yeah. And that's something that would probably have been mentioned before Justice League if it had happened.
Yes. There's an invasion by these parademons, but it doesn't matter that all the fish people are attacking.
Right. Whenever that happened, you know.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see. Black Manta, we saw him in the trailer, and there's an amazing shot of him using his red laser beam coming out of his helmet.
Yeah,
and I'm super excited to see him.
Yeah, I'm liking a lot of the visual stuff from this. I don't know how much I still am annoyed by Yahoo! Yeah, man, kind of Aquaman.
Surfer Bro Aquaman, yeah.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. I got the same feeling from this trailer as I did for the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer, where I guess this is a very, 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 very mild spoiler. It really doesn't do anything. But so you see in the trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp, he grows giant out of the water and he's going, which is, I could tell, was the exact audio from Civil War. Like they just put that over it.
Oh yeah,
it's really big. That he doesn't laugh like that in the actual movie. He just stands up. So I get the feeling that them jumping out of the helicopter or whatever, and you hear him like Yahoo! Or whatever, is the same audio from Justice League of him jumping around going Yahoo! I think that's what I'm hearing. So I feel like maybe they put that in there as like the bros that do like that Aquaman. So they'll go see the movie. I don't know.
Well, I was trying to think like what sort of Aquaman I would rather have than Surfer Bro Aquaman, and that's the problem is like, so I like Jason Momoa's look for Aquaman. I actually prefer the darker hair. I think that's cool with the blonde highlights. Yeah, and like his
makes
tattoos,
it look like water and seaweed and stuff. Yeah.
The tattoos over like the orange scaled shirt is a good touch.
There's a big tattoo on his forehead that says "damaged."
Yeah,
I like that.
That's the best part. Yeah.
What is it? I don't know. It just says like crustacean or something stupid. I don't know.
Seaweed.
Crusty.
Seaweed, and it's got like a marijuana leaf.
No, I agree, because when we first saw the look of Aquaman, I think it was in that Unite the Seven poster forever ago. And I remember thinking like, oh, yeah, they're doing like the 90s like JLU Aquaman. Like, that's cool.
And he's going to lose a hand eventually. We know that. Yeah. It's a matter of time. Probably not in this movie, but at some point,
I don't know.
Jason Momoa is going to lose a hand. He'll get a hook.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was this movie. They're probably just going to throw every Aquaman thing they can think of into this.
Yeah.
They have like Throne of Atlantis plus Black Manta plus it being 90s Aquaman plus... I don't know. There's
like
his origin. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize this, but a lot of Aquaman stuff is pulled from King Arthur legends, of like medieval stuff, or like being Arthur Curry for one. That's his name. Even in the comics, so he's like encountered like the Lady of the Lake with like Excalibur.
He pulled a
gives him,
fish
like,
from
water
the
hand.
stone.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I was like Aquaman and Atlantis in general. It does remind me a lot of like the political intrigue of Game of Thrones. Like I said, I brought that up earlier for the Fourth World too.
Sure.
But it's just like you have your leader of the kingdoms. Like Aquaman's like the ruler, the prodigal son who's been away. Then his younger brother took over. And so you have that stuff going on. So like if I were to think of it Game of Thrones style, maybe he'd be like a Jaime Lannister type. Like if you're trying to go for blonde, pretty boy Aquaman. I don't know.
Maybe we'll see him like that. We'll see him in like some sort of flashback where he has like short hair and.
Well, he's gonna be in Flashpoint. We know that for sure. That's kind of the next Justice League movie. In terms of like all of the actors coming back together.
Yeah.
So Flashpoint is huge. Battle between Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, I had a bit of an Alzheimer's moment where I thought that the end of the Godzilla trailer was the end of the Aquaman trailer because you see, what's his name?
I haven't seen the Godzilla trailer yet.
Tywin Lannister is in that movie. The actor, the old man. I can't remember his name. I feel bad because I should know this, but and at the end of that trailer, he goes like, "Long live the king," or something like that. And I thought for some reason I had placed that in the Aquaman trailer. I was like, "Oh, awesome! He's going to be in that movie too." No one has told me that yet. And then I watched it again, like, "Oh wait, that's the wrong trailer." But yeah, there's so many trailers. They all blend together a little bit. I like the look of Atlantis because we haven't really seen it besides like the place where the mother box was kept.
Yeah. I mentioned a few episodes ago that I saw a clip from the trailer, and I actually noticed the exact clip that I saw in the trailer. And I was saying it looks like the Gungans from Star Wars Episode 1.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Naboo. They should put in Jar Jar like really tiny in the background swimming through the...
Yeah, they
confirmed
should.
Set in the same universe.
They should also put Namor in there, the Submariner.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Just put everything, Yeah. Just put Aqualad in this movie. Put Aquagirl in this movie.
I doubt Aqualad will be in here. Maybe there'll be like a supporting character named Garth or something. You know?
Or just like, oh yeah, Garth was the little kid that lived next door to me for a long time.
Well, Garth is an Atlantean, but yeah, so he'd be like part of it.
No, I know. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. I like. Well, speaking of Star Wars stuff, his dad's played by the guy that plays Jango Fett.
Oh, nice.
Cool. His actual dad.
So does that mean Aquaman's the son of the clone
Aquaman
army?
is Boba Fett. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's what I'm saying.
That's cool.
We get the little flashback of him, like we were talking about, as a little kid talking to fish, and the bullies are like, "Wait, talking to fish?" And I made
straight out of Harry Potter.
Yeah, someone had mentioned that to me, that it seemed like him talking to the snake and all that stuff, and they're making fun of him. But I also kind of connected it in, I think it was a Reddit thing that I commented on of that maybe that's why Aquaman is so pissed off whenever Bruce Wayne is like, you talk to fish? Because the little kids did that to him all the time.
What if that was Bruce's little kid?
That's what someone made that comment. Was like, with that one of those kids is Bruce Wayne.
That rich little brat kid.
Yeah, just walking around with his parents.
Yeah, exactly. And then after he says it to Arthur, he's like, Psh, I hope your parents die in an alleyway.
Well, we've seen Bruce Wayne at that age, so it's probably not him. But
no, he wouldn't have gone to public. He wouldn't have gone to public school in Hawaii. Well, actually, yeah, he could have. If he was going to go to public school, it would have been public school in Hawaii.
Well, maybe that's after his parents have been killed, so he's in the very like starting of being angry about it. So he's just picking on little Hawaiian kids in the aquarium.
Oh.
Well, anyway. What else do we have to say about this trailer? He is Aquaman.
Yeah, I mean, we saw first looks at Orm and Black Manta, like you said earlier. Orm, I thought looked really cool. Blonde hair, sort of like, he looks evil. They're not hiding that. Yeah.
I still don't like that actor. I've mentioned
Patrick
that before.
Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in. I know he's
Watchmen. He's Night Owl.
But I don't like him as generic father in every horror movie. And I
Well,
don't
he
know.
was in The Conjuring, right? And
He's in oh my
the
god.
spin-off Annabelle. Is that it? Or
No, what's the we talked about this before, but we couldn't remember it. I don't
yeah.
think
Well,
it's
and we know it's the same director. It's James Wan.
yeah,
Anyway, whatever.
but it's whatever one it is where there's like a ghost demon dimension and he sees like a Darth Maul demon's face next to the person for like a split second. That's like the famous part of that from that movie. I can't remember the name of the stupid movie, but anyway, I don't like him. But I guess maybe that'll help me not like Orm. But whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Orm look. Why does Orm already have an Ocean Master like helmet and stuff? Like it seems like that's
That could
that's
just
what
be
makes,
like his regal armor.
I guess. Yeah, maybe, and then he'll die, and then he'll get all crusty and gross, and he'll come back, and I don't know.
Cool.
I guess I'll see it though in a couple months.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's gonna be
Well,
should be good. I hope.
Yeah, the Shazam trailer looked a lot better to me.
The Shazam.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't say it. If you say it, then you might not be in this podcast anymore.
Whoops. Yeah, we can't.
It's like saying Beetlejuice. You don't want to say Beetlejuice 3 times, or else that guy.
Beetlejuice
Oh no! Okay. Yeah, there he is. I see him behind you. Oh.
Yes, thank you. I really liked the Shazam trailer. Actually, I was skeptical about whether they could do that character in this type of universe because it's so gritty and bleh and whatever and falling apart. But I think he does a really good job of being a little kid.
Yeah, the trailer's a straight adaptation from Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's Shazam comic from the New 52. It looks like it's basically the exact same story. So
yeah, well, they did a really good. Like the little montage of him seeing do you have this superpower? Let's find out.
Yeah.
Is really good. And I really like your phone's charged. Like he's just dinking around with it. Like it is a little kid with superpowers. Like I think he's doing a really good job with that.
Yeah,
that's what
I mean, he's like not a little kid. He's probably like 15.
Yeah, right.
Isn't he? Yeah.
But like I mean, in my biggest Captain Marvel like point to take reference from is his one JLU appearance, and then I've seen him in some of the direct to video stuff. I haven't read a lot of comics that he's in, but I always kind of got too much of a like he seems like Superman as if Superman was a little kid. Like he has the same like Superman ideals,
right?
As like a preteen or whatever.
And that makes sense. I mean, to give you a little bit of context, Captain Marvel, Shazam, he was known as Captain Marvel at first.
Whatever,
yeah. Well, I mean, it was like he was created in the early 1940s, just shortly after Superman. By Fawcett Comics, and Captain Marvel quickly became the second best-selling superhero comic right under Superman. And so for years they were both in like the public eye. Like basically, Superman was always more popular, but Captain Marvel was just like right up there. So he ran for through the 50s, and then the character kind of like went into limbo until DC Comics was able to acquire them in the 1970s. And started publishing their own comics. But in the 70s, they had to retitle the Captain Marvel comics to Shazam. So it ended up being like the Shazam family or Power of Shazam or whatever. Every comic title they had to have the word Shazam in it. And that's just because by the 70s, Marvel Comics existed, and Marvel Comics now had their own Captain Marvel, who had his own book. And so it was like DC's way of being like, well, okay, we have this character now, but we can't call it that in the book. And now over time, I guess what do you call it? The Mandela effect? Is that what it is? There was like, if people believe something long enough, it kind of becomes the public thing. So like the
Berenstein Bears,
yeah, and like how Captain Marvel's TV show had to be called Shazam in the 70s, and his comics called Shazam. So people just started collectively calling him
that's
Shazam.
the name of the character,
yeah. And to the point where now it is. So that's kind of context there. He's always been just as popular as Superman, but wasn't always in the universe with him.
Yeah, I usually get except for this version in the trailer, I get too much of a goody two shoes like attitude from him, I guess, that he's like, I gotta be just like Superman, which is fine for really old comics and stuff. But I really like that in this trailer it's more like he even seems, as when you see him as a kid, he even seems a little bit like arrogant and kind of like I don't want to be here kind of a thing with the foster family and whatever. And then when he transforms into a man, then and he has superpowers, it just translates how he would deal with any situation or whatever. And I like that better, I think, than like it's basically big with superpowers.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah. It's also like in the New 52 Shazam like origin story that's based off of, Billy was like definitely a brat, like going through foster home to foster home, really misbehaving, stealing
Billy
stuff.
Bratson, more like.
Stealing stuff, picking on the other kids that are there and stuff like that. So it's like these powers kind of help him create a sense of morality for himself too. Puts him on the path of righteousness, I suppose.
I'll wind up learning more about this character from this movie than I've ever known about him, probably.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know I gifted you a few years ago the Justice Society of America, the JSA series by Jeff Johns. I don't think it was the entire series because later Captain Marvel joins the team. And this is one of my favorite, like, I guess, stories with Captain Marvel around it. But he ends up getting a really big crush on Stargirl. And for a while, like, none of the other members in the JSA know that Captain Marvel is a little kid. They think he's an adult. So they start getting weirded out that he and Stargirl have this connection, you know? And like even some of the old timey members like Jay Garrick have to like take him aside and be like, dude, what are you doing? You're a man. This is like a teenage girl. You know, this is totally inappropriate. To the point where like he has like this, you know, he has to kind of decide if he's going to come out to the JSA and tell them he's a little kid. Yeah,
that was kind of a thing on Young Justice too, of them like debating whether he should be on the team or if he should be on the team because he was a little kid. Yeah,
right.
I always think of him as younger than he'll be in this movie just because he's in elementary school in JLU, which I guess is more leads you to more ability. What the hell am I trying to say? Leads to easier making a bad sentence to say that he could be he could do little kid things because like the older you make him, the more likely he's just gonna make a rational decision, I guess.
Well, do you think that has something to do with like our modern just society about how like kids kind of have to grow up faster? Like they're exposed to more adult concepts sooner with like with the internet and everything. Girls
maybe. I mean,
experimenting with makeup earlier. And,
right. And maybe we'll see some of that where like he, I don't know, maybe he'll get into some kind of terrible drug situation.
He does buy alcohol at the store. He and Freddie go in there to buy beer because he's an adult.
In the movie?
In the trailer, yeah. We see him.
They got soda.
Oh, was it soda? I thought it was a 6-pack of beer.
No, in that we talked about this before. In the picture, the like Entertainment Weekly released picture, he's holding a big case that says soda on it.
It is a soda. Okay, never mind.
And we thought, because I had mentioned that, like, oh, that's weird. Why he could have just bought beer? Like he could have gotten away with it. Yeah.
I bet he tries. Something happens.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe that happened. Maybe he is drinking beer in the movie, but they didn't want to put that in the trailer. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. And because we missed that last time, a bunch of people pointed out to us that it was Freddie Freeman next to him, not him.
Which I thought later, because I didn't see the crutches.
As soon as we stopped talking about it,
as soon as we were done with the episode, and it was like, because I didn't notice the crutches at first, and like I would have definitely thought it was Freddie Freeman if I had noticed.
Yeah, we were under the impression that it was like a really. I mean, they still might do that. It would still be a cool way to show like what he's thinking or something, is if you see him as a kid sometimes or something, like when people look at him they see him, but when he's the kid or something, because there's something like that in a TV show where they have like maybe it's like in Supernatural or something, I can't remember, but it's like when I'm I'm a demon that took over your body. So whenever people look at me, they see. Oh no, it's in Caprica, which is the sequel to Battlestar Galactica, and nobody watched it. And there's like a girl's brain gets put into a robot, and every time that you see the robot, the audience sees the girl, but everyone else sees a robot. So that's kind of what I was thinking might be happening in this movie, which would still be kind of cool. They'll
Probably
not
not,
do it.
though.
I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder if by the end of it, because Freddy is typically Captain Marvel Jr., that's kind of like Shazam's able to like give him a fraction of his power as a way to like help Freddy not be a cripple anymore. Stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, is that it for this? Are we
Shazam?
done talking?
I want to mention Dr. Savannah. We see him in the
Oh
trailer
yeah,
for
we
a
see him
second.
for like one shot. Yeah.
Mark Strong.
We haven't seen Black Adam, but it's not confirmed that he's in this movie, I don't think.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to expect him in Suicide Squad 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We know that wherever he appears, there's going to be a showdown between him and Superman. Black Adam and Superman. And I think there are rumors that Henry Cavill is going to be in Shazam.
Yeah.
So
I can see that as just like a, one scene where he comes down and says like, you got to stop doing this thing or something. Oh, Superman, my idol. Okay, I'll stop doing that thing.
How soon do you think Shazam will be integrated into the Justice League? Do you think we'll see him in Flashpoint?
I wonder if we'll even have more of that Justice League, to be honest.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, we're definitely going to see all those actors together again in Flashpoint, and Captain Marvel is part of that story as well. But he changes his name to Captain Thunder. Yeah,
but to do a proper Flashpoint, you'd have to also make Henry Cavill like really skinny and gross looking, and
which they can do. Obviously, they can take a mustache off.
If they can take a mustache off, yeah,
they can take off 50 pounds.
Can they though? If they can take, a mustache
they did. They did.
Tried.
They did.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. Well, Savannah, he holds back a punch from from Shazam. Is that a thing he can normally do? Is there like an experiment maybe
Superman and Captain Marvel? Wait, what do you mean?
No, Dr. Savannah.
Oh, yeah. He might have like Dr. Savannah is basically like a weirder Lex Luthor. Like he's definitely not on Lex's level.
They should have made Dr. Savannah a like 20-something with long hair. And
honestly, my favorite Captain Marvel villain is Mr. Mind. I want to see Mr. Mind. He's like that
Mr. Mime from Pokemon?
No, Mr. Mind with a D at the end, because he's a little caterpillar with telepathic powers, and he's straight up evil. Like he's he's like Grodd but small.
Yeah, but like he usually is just a scientist, right? I mean, a mad
Savannah
scientist.
Mr. Mind is an alien caterpillar. That's different. But sometimes Dr. Savannah, Dr. Savannah's had like Mr. Mind in a jar in his lab, so I'm kind of hoping we see him there as an Easter egg at least.
Yeah. But why can he hold back the punch?
I don't know.
I guess maybe he's taking some of that
Shazam power.
The Wonder Woman evil Nazi smoke that you breathe or whatever that makes you strong.
He could be like, because Captain Marvel also has like kind of like we were just saying, there's like satanic possession. There's characters Sabek and Ibeck and stuff that are definitely demons.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out in the movie, I suppose, why he's so strong.
Yeah. We will see.
Right. I guess normally we do comic relief right now, but I think a lot of people tune out to comic relief, and I want to make sure that we get to people's questions because there were a lot of questions.
Okay.
And people want to hear them. So I'm going to go through first ones that we got on Twitter and then ones that we got on Instagram because there's a handful of both. And we'll try to keep these semi-short, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is on Twitter. Tristan Ketchum says, I have a question. If Batman knew about the deadly effects kryptonite has on humans in World's Finest, Then how come Lex Luthor didn't know until Justice League, by which time he had developed cancer? How did Batman know but Lex didn't? And I guess maybe that's just because Lex and Batman are one of 5 smartest people on Earth or whatever. But what's the answer, Ted?
Well, it comes back to World's Finest, because Lex and Bruce Wayne were about to have a partnership at the beginning of the episode, but then Bruce was like, I don't like guns. So they stopped working together before he had a chance to tell Lex that he found out kryptonite can hurt Superman and give you cancer.
He knew, and then he's like, I don't need to tell this guy.
Or like maybe he didn't know yet, but they had just like stopped doing business because he didn't like Lex's practices and was like, I'm not going to tell him. I'm going to let him keep the little cancer rock in his pocket.
Well, maybe Batman didn't. Maybe Batman didn't know Lex had kryptonite, or I'm sure he would know, I guess, but just chose not to tell him for some reason. Because, Batman finds out, or, Alfred walks up and he's like, the guy that owned the dragon statue made of kryptonite, like, died really early in his life, and no one really knows why. And Batman's like, I know why, because there's radiation coming off even just this tiny little sliver.
Yeah.
But I guess, maybe Lex never really studied it. I guess he had it in his lab. I don't know the answer. Why would we know the answer to this?
Maybe he just didn't think like, oh, this thing with radiation that I hold up on me forever. And it's like, well, to be honest, I don't think about that with my cell phone that I keep in my pocket either.
Right.
But now I am.
It'll kill
now
me.
I'm thinking about it.
It's in my hand right now. It could be that like Batman, maybe that instance of the guy that owned the dragon statue dying prematurely was the only time that anyone ever on record died from kryptonite that was a human, because it's only been around for like 30 years ish, and like Superman doesn't even know it exists until Lex brings it to him and all this stuff. And then maybe because Batman had a piece of the dragon statue, he was able to find out that information, but Lex never looked into that, so then he just it wouldn't affect me. I'm a guy.
Do we know how there was a shard of kryptonite that was able to be sculpted by this Chinese artist like hundreds of years ago?
I don't think we ever see kryptonite in its like being found form, except for the first episode it appears, and there's like excavators that like are doing like paleontology stuff and like uncover a rock of it. So I guess we'd have to assume that it landed all around the planet and stuff.
Yeah, I figure it's from Krypton's explosion. So like the dragon statue in World's Finest, though, isn't it hundreds of years old?
No, it says it was carved nearly 30 years ago.
Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah. Okay, all right, good. I was about to say, Maddie, we got an episode for Vanishing Point.
Now we gotta have to go through a bunch of like time warping, like how long light takes to reach Earth and all this. Yeah. Okay, I guess the answer is that I don't know. Jake Johnson again. He says, so you want questions, eh? Fuck, marry, kill the 3 MCU love interests. Pepper Potts, Jane Foster, Peggy Carter.
That's yours? Wait, sorry. MCU?
Yes.
Oh, fuck, marry, kill?
Pepper Potts, Jane Foster, Peggy Carter. I'd say...
Wait, why would you kill? Why would you kill Agent Carter?
You don't have to. You get to choose. You never played this game before?
She died in Winter Soldier already. You can't kill her. She's dead.
Yeah, okay. The alive forms of these. I guess I would probably kill Jane Foster because she's the least interesting, and I don't really like her as an actor, and she has no impact on the universe, except for, I guess, bringing Thor to... No, she doesn't bring him to Earth. She just finds him. So I guess that's the impact she has, is that she leads him on the correct path or whatever in the first movie. But other than that, she doesn't do anything. So I'm gonna kill her. I'm gonna say I'm gonna fuck Pepper Potts because she's the most attractive of the 3, and I'm gonna marry Peggy Carter because she has roots with SHIELD and she has like the best connections government-wise and stuff like that. So that's my answer.
I figured
it's
out
also
mine.
The correct answer.
Oh, you think so? I don't know about that. I am gonna fuck Mantis because she's got all those.
That's not an option.
It's not an option. I thought you said MCU.
No, the 3 MCU love interests.
Oh, that
I don't know why it's the
that he
3,
listed. Oh, I have my
Yes.
own 3. I'm gonna ignore those 3 and pick my own.
Okay, you've already figured it out, so you can go ahead.
So Mantis, obviously, because she's all about the feelings, and so it's like
Sure, yeah, that
as
might
we're
be pretty
doing
good,
it,
yeah.
it's just so many feelings everywhere. It's gonna be
He is
great.
very strong.
Because I'll be touching her, she'll be touching me, and it'll be just a lot of touching. So
Welcome
Mary,
to 12th level intellects, everybody.
this is what we do here. I'm gonna marry Pepper Potts because she seems like a great businesswoman. She'll be able to get my life in order, and I will follow her house rules, and we will live in prosperity.
Who are you killing?
Thanos, because
Why is he a love it? Yeah,
because I'm pissed. I mean, he loves the universe so much, he's willing to kill half of it. You know? So,
all right.
To kill or be killed.
Well, I'm sorry, JK. Ted gave a terrible answer.
It was a great answer.
Okay. Evan the Gross says, question. Okay, so he has a question. Good
The
to know.
questions. That's the name of the segment now. The
question.
questions.
No.
Vix.
Are the plot twists and history and epilogue canon to the new Batman Beyond comics? Yes, it's a different Terry in a different timeline, but would there be a need for a Project Batman Beyond in a timeline with Damian Wayne existing in it? I'm pretty sure he said he had his own answer to this and that he doesn't think so.
I think the current Batman Beyond comics would be taking place a few years before epilogue is supposed to, so we just haven't caught up to that moment yet. But yeah.
Well, he's talking about, like, do we think Project Batman Beyond happened and that Terry is, spoilers, Bruce Wayne's son in the current comics because Damian exists, so would there have been a need for a Project Batman Beyond?
Yeah, I mean, Damian, like, goes off the radar in this. Like, he kind of goes to Nana Parbat and takes over for Ra's al Ghul, so he's not a hero anymore.
He's not Batman. He won't become Batman.
Yeah, he's the new Ra's al Ghul by the time we get to the Beyond. Or, I mean, in the comic universe, not the animated. So, I guess there could still be a need for Batman Beyond. It's also strange because we've seen Batman Beyond prototype suits already in the comic realm, like in Scott Snyder's run on Batman. He definitely already has the Batman Beyond suit in the works. I don't know. I don't think Amanda Waller's as involved in the comic book world.
I think if he is his son, that's a very different reason why he would be. Like, maybe he's his actual like he had another kid or something like that, but we won't know for a long time or ever.
I still think it's possible. I don't see any reason to not think that he's still a clone of Bruce, but
he could just be his own person in this version of Terry, which I think a lot of people wanted anyway.
It's just it's still a big character moment, that episode is, for all of them, and I really think it would be hard for, like, a writer like Dan Jurgens, who's writing Batman Beyond, to kind of detach that episode from the canon.
Yeah, because in the DCAU, that's like a reveal, like, Batman has a child, like, for the first time that you ever know this, so that it wouldn't be as big of a deal, like, he's Batman's son, like, oh, okay, Batman already had another different son, so interesting. The end.
Right. Yep.
Dimitri the Thinker says, on Cadmus's files, they had one called Flashpoint. Is it possible Flashpoint happened, and in this reality, Barry never existed because he changed the past, and it was Wally who's the only Flash?
Well, the Flashpoint comic came out the summer of 2011. 11, yeah.
Or 10, maybe?
It was either 11 or 13, but I think it was 11.
I think 2011 is the start of New 52, so it must have been 10 or 11 for Flashpoint.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So 2011, that summer, was Flashpoint, which is obviously 5 years after the end of Justice League Unlimited. So
Flashpoint is the name of a JLU episode, which was named before the Flashpoint comic existed, and Flashpoint is also just a word. Yeah. So it's a cool word to describe an episode that you maybe think Flash is going to die in, because at the time we didn't know, are they going to actually kill Flash on the show, because that's how the Justice Lords got started and all this stuff. And I think because of that, that's why there's a file on there on Cadmus's stuff, Flashpoint, called Flashpoint, because it's
that moment of the Flash's death.
It's their simulation of what happens if he dies or something like that.
That's always been my theory of it too, yeah.
Which it is interesting that word describes two different, like, in the DCAU and in the main comics, like, a point in time where it causes a giant thing to happen. Like, in, like, Flashpoint in the comics rewrites the entire timeline. If Flash died in an event called Flashpoint in the DCAU, that would cause, essentially, the League to become the Justice Lords and all this stuff.
Well, that's like its very definition is a place in time in which trouble or violence flares up. So that is literally a Flashpoint. Yeah.
So, but you're saying it's possible Flashpoint happened in this. So the DCU, the comic Flashpoint. He's suggesting that Barry existed, but then he ran back, saved his mom, and now the DCAU is a Flashpointed timeline where Barry never existed as the Flash, and that's why he's like a policeman or something or whatever.
He's not totally wrong, because after the events of the Flashpoint comic, we have a new 52 multiverse that we kind of learn more about in Multiversity. And Earth 12 is very much the DC animated universe. But we had seen hints of Earth 12 even before
it
Flashpoint.
didn't just come into existence because of Flashpoint.
Right, but it was a little more...
It's a cool idea,
molded.
though. I like that. Mm-hmm. Jake Johnson again. Do you guys have any DC fan pet peeves? Mine is people calling him Darkseid. We talked about that a long time ago, like the first or second episode, how the creator, who was it? Was it Jack Kirby that would get that question and then and then
let people go with it?
Yeah,
because he was
my
super
favorite
like,
character's Darkseid, and like, oh, that's great, dude.
He's like a Darkseid in the universe.
Yeah, I was like, my friends all say it's Darkseid, but I know they're wrong, or whatever, and he just let that kid continue thinking that. Jake says, you can say the movies suck till you're blue in the face, and DC can make all the unfaithful adaptations, like have Superman fight a giant spider, but if someone says Darkseid, nerd rage. I guess I agree. I don't hear people talk about Darkseid enough in real life, and I think that there's been enough of him in cartoons and movies and stuff, and the Injustice game and whatever, that people know how it's pronounced.
I guess like we've also had kind of pet peeves with like Raish versus Ra's al Ghul,
right?
And I am always probably going to say a Raish just because of the animated series. Yeah,
most of the however they say something in the animated series is how I'm going to say it. There was another example of that recently that I can't remember. I don't remember. I used to
have DC pet peeves like with Barry Allen and Hal Jordan versus Wally West and Kyle Rayner. About like just purists being like, oh, there's nothing as good as the Silver Age characters, and it's like, well, I don't know about that. Like I grew up with the '90s versions, and those are more dear to my heart because I think they're more rounded and interesting. Like I think Hal Jordan and Barry Allen were very boring people before that they came back into continuity in the 2000s. So yeah. Well,
I'm just now realizing that I'm an idiot, and I put up a thing on Instagram. There was a ask us anything thing that you can do on there now. And I did one like a couple weeks ago, and I saved it so that I could look at the answers, and then it's just not here. Like, I think I accidentally deleted it somehow. No. So that's cool. But we did. So I apologize if people asked us stuff on that one. I don't know what it was because I can't see it now. But we also did one yesterday that people have responded to.
Good. All right.
First, I'm going to say my pet peeve is the whole Batwing Batplane thing. Oh, yeah. I never know which one it is. Anyway.
Also, Etrigan, do you call him Etrigan or the demon? What would you...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or Shazam or Captain Marvel.
And is Shazam the wizard or the name of the hero?
Yeah, I wonder how they'll approach that in the movie because, he's like, say my name. Like, what is... Shazam? You're goddamn right. But then he becomes Shazam.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Chris 1954 says, what classic Batman foe would Terry have had the most trouble defeating? He had a hard time with the Joker, even.
Yeah, but I guess we can't really say that.
Speculate on that. Yeah. Maybe someone like Mad Hatter, or the Riddler, or someone that does like really like you gotta think kind of stuff. Because Terry is a lot less smart. Like he's not as good at the detective part of being Batman.
I can see the Riddler making things tough.
Because even Riddler episodes, Bruce Wayne goes like, "Oh, he turned the numbers upside down. Oh no, we're in the wrong place." Like he makes mistakes, and Terry would just be like, "I've been sitting at this place for 6 days and nothing's happened. I don't know what's going on."
I also feel like he wouldn't know how to deal with the Penguin, just because the Penguin's like more business savvy. Like
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, Terry's defeated people like
can't punch
Derek
his way out of it,
Powers
yeah.
and stuff before, but he had like radiation.
yeah, because
Power
he became
shooting.
a supervillain. Yeah,
Right. But like, yeah, I don't know if he has like the political sort of mentality to navigate Oswald Cobblepot's weirdness. So
I mean, he's dealt with splicers, so like Man-Bat and Killer Croc would be pretty easy. Yeah, I think it would have to be like a high profile
thinking
or like high intelligence
Yeah.
bad guy or something.
I was thinking maybe like it's not a classic Batman villain, but like the Black Glove and Dr. Hurt and all that stuff that Batman fought during Batman RIP. But like Dr. Hurt goes back to the Silver Age potentially. So
Yeah.
I bet he would know what to do with the Batman Beyond of Zur-En-Arrh when that weird alien Planet X that's from the Silver Age.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm thinking the Rainbow Batman, the Zebra Batman. Terry couldn't deal with any of that.
I guess maybe that's what he's referring to.
1950s
Batman
psychedelic.
foes,
Yeah.
What was it, Mr. Zero or whatever, Mr. Freeze's
The
original
10-eyed
version.
the 10-eyed
Yeah,
man.
the 10-armed man, the 2-armed man. All right, Joe Walker 67 characters in the DCAU which should either join the Arrowverse or get their own movie.
The Question.
Yeah,
It's been about time. He needs a movie and he needs to be on the show.
So I guess maybe he means like original DCAU characters. I'm trying to.
Well, that's a shorter list.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Well, we could say characters that like have a good version, like a DCAU version that people like a lot, like the Question. I don't know. That's the Question is such a good character.
I know.
That's
he's perfect
just
for,
what comes to mind,
for a guest star in Arrow, especially since Arrow's name dropped Hub City a few times. I know they've floated the idea of bringing the Question in. It's got to be a matter of time. But
you think he'll have like a Rorschach covered face, like he'll have like a mask over his face, or will he?
Oh, I bet he looks
just
classic.
be like a guy?
Classic Question. Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Asa is Batman. It says, "What's your favorite Rebirth story so far?" I guess because we've only had a couple of years. I really like all the Detective Comics stuff that's been happening.
Yeah, that's been cool.
Just because of all of the art's really cool, and the character, like what the characters are going through, is neat. That they're they've got Clayface on the team and that kind of stuff. I've not been a big fan of the Wonder Woman solo stories. They've been kind of boring to me, but
I had a highlight. I really enjoyed the Wonder Woman issues, and I know I've talked about this on podcasts before, but that was part of Tom King's Batman run, which that's been significantly good.
All-Star Batman was pretty good too.
Yeah, All-Star Batman was great. But yeah, Wonder Woman was a guest star in the main Batman comic for 2 issues, and I really liked those. There was what else? Mind blank. Metal. I've enjoyed Metal. Doomsday Clock. The Justice League.
My
series
favorite
by Scott
Rebirth
Snyder.
story is the first 2 episodes of Batman Beyond, if you ask me.
Yeah. Nice.
Or there's also There was like a Flash and Green Lantern Rebirth comics in like early 2000s, right?
Yeah. Green
So
Lantern Rebirth is great from
yeah.
2003. I actually really enjoyed that. It's like Hal Jordan's transition from the Spectre back to Green Lantern. Reintroduces Sinestro. And it explains like the emotional color spectrum, and
Yeah.
introduces Parallax as part of that. That's a really good one.
All right. Dane Wysong says, "Do you think that Affleck's Batman is the most true to the comics and or the DCAU?" Depends
Well,
on what comics, I guess.
I think Michael Keaton is more true to Batman the Animated Series because they coexisted
off each
together.
other,
Yeah. So DCAU, I'll give that to Keaton, but Justice League, yeah, I mean, he's the only Batman we've ever seen operate alongside Superman and Wonder Woman in a live action movie.
Sure. I think Affleck Batman from BVS is similar to kind of older DCAU Batman, not necessarily Batman Beyond Batman, but maybe like kind of JLU Batman in terms of his just like, he's just an asshole. Like he's gotten to the point where he's not very compassionate anymore and stuff like that. But
he doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but he's more true to Dark Knight Returns because that's what he's based on. Yeah, I'd agree that Keaton Batman as a character is probably the closest to DCAU Batman, but there's aspects of every Batman that's come after the animated series started that takes cues from the animated series because everybody's like, oh, that's the best Batman. You got to do that kind of thing. Like there's elements of the Dark Knight movies that are very similar to something that he would do or build or wear or whatever from the animated series. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben Affleck is just not my favorite Batman at all. It's for me, it's probably Christian Bale's first for live action and then Michael Keaton.
Yeah, and that I think it's Neighbors, the movie with Seth Rogen and
I haven't seen it.
The
girl. I gotcha.
What in the world? High School Musical. Zac Efron. There's a scene where Seth Rogen goes over to his like a big party that Zac Efron's hosting to tell him to be quiet, but then they end up just drinking with him and talking with him and stuff, and he's like, who's Batman to you? And he's like, oh man, it's Christian Bale. And he's like, oh no, Michael Keaton's my Batman. And they like have a big argument about that. But like I feel like Seth Rogen should be in a generation where Michael Keaton, I don't know, Michael Keaton to me is he's a good Batman in that movie, like that it fits that world and everything, but I never like I would much rather watch The Dark Knight again than watch Batman or Batman Returns, I guess. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Anyway, we're getting off track. Comic Coliseum Art says, "Are you going to make Young Justice Season 3 content even though it's not DCAU?" That's a good question. We haven't really talked about that, but we haven't had any videos on the channel of like things that are currently coming out because the DCAU has been gone for a long time. And when Batman and Harley Quinn came out, we made a lot of videos on that because it was happening right then and there.
Right. I'm sure we are going to talk about it on this podcast.
Yeah, at the very least, we'll discuss episodes on here as they happen. I think it might be fun to do a couple, just, maybe comparing it to DCAU or doing some kind of, recap or review or something like that. But
overlapping characters.
I mean, any video that we make on Young Justice for like a Sunday, bigger video essay kind of video is just taking up room, taking up space that could have been occupied by one of like hundreds of videos we have on our list of stuff to make. So I don't expect to be doing a lot if we do any. But it's not
do one for Trivia Tuesdays or something.
Yeah.
It might be possible.
And our last one is, sorry. This person, Tanny or thoughts on the Titans trailer. We already talked about it.
Yeah, fuck the Titans trailer.
Listen. Yeah. Thoughts on the Titans. We did it. All right. Do a quick comic relief because I didn't read a lot, but I read Justice League number 4, and I think you just did.
I
Is this
did
true?
too. Yeah. And I mentioned this last time, but Batman number 50 also came out. That was the wedding issue.
Oh, yeah.
Between Batman and Catwoman, I'll just talk about that real quick first,
Sure.
because I read it and it was fine. It was a big, like, very much like Action Comics number 1000. That was a big anniversary issue where there was a bunch of pinup art like throughout it, where you could kind of tell the dialogue captions were kind of written on top of the pinup art and just kind of scattered around as appropriate. The issue itself was good. I like, obviously this is just the beginning of a longer story. Spoilers if you want to know how the wedding ends. Now's your chance to turn away.
I don't care.
Here it is. It doesn't happen. She stands him up. She walks out. She realizes that if she marries Batman and Batman is happy, then he can't be Batman anymore. So for the sake of allowing the world to continue having Batman there to protect them, she realizes she can't make him happy.
She watched Mask of the Phantasm and went, "Oh no,
Uh-huh.
I can't do that."
She left him a note and said, "Too young, forget about me."
Need time. Yeah.
No, not at all. Yeah, so I haven't read number 51. That's out now, so we'll see how he deals with that. But I think he's fighting Mr. Freeze soon. So because
Yeah, I saw a preview drawing of Mr. Freeze. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they continue to make Mr. Freeze pretty close to his DCAU counterpart. Like, because they're like, oh, we can't really make it better than that. So,
right. Yeah, it was a character defining. Well, cool. So Justice League number 4. We
Yes,
both read that. We can talk about that.
Yeah, so it's spun out of the No Justice, which pretty much that just ends with the team coming together. Like, it doesn't really have any super lasting effects. It just kind of shows you that the
source wall.
source wall's broken open and all this stuff.
That was from Metal.
Yeah, it's all tumbling into each other series per series, but so a big old head has come down from the sky and landed, and it's like the Annihilation movie, which I talked about before.
Yeah, the
where it's just
totality.
changing genetic makeup of everything it touches, and I think it's expanding. It might not be. I don't know if it's just sitting there. I might have infused too much Annihilation into it since I thought it was similar, but Superman and John go in because they're the most likely to not be affected by it or slowly affected by it. And Batman is in a little spaceship inside Superman, and Hawkgirl's in a little spaceship inside John Jones. And they head toward the big head. And when they get there,
we should say they're inside them to help combat the antibodies, so the genetic material isn't overridden.
No, they're just hanging out.
And they're not the only ones there too. Lex Luthor is also flying around in Superman, and Joker hijacks Hawkgirl's ship.
Stowed away on the ship, which was a little, so he beats her over the head with a chainsaw in this issue, which seemed like a really easy defeat of Hawkgirl, but I guess this Hawkgirl is also like maybe not very trained.
She's
at being
brand new. Like, she was part of the Blackhawks in the Dark Knight's Metal series, and only became Hawkgirl at the very end.
Yeah. So, they're like approaching the center of this totality thing, and there's like a piece of source wall essentially in there, like a bunch of big old golden god guys standing there, and they're like, John Jones, look at all these terrible things, and he's freaking out because they're messing with his head. And so Superman, in this issue, Superman takes him away from that. Like, we got to get away from this to talk. And while that's happening, Lex Luthor beats Batman inside of Superman and takes over Superman's brain. Like, he lodges his little spaceship in Superman's brain, Plankton SpongeBob style, and takes over Superman's body. And then Joker does the same to John Jones, and we get to see a pretty cool end of the issue where they have found the like the totality's like nucleus, essentially. It seems like a big crystal thing. I can't remember exactly what they're referring to it as. Like, Lex has been looking for this, and like Jean has like a creepy Joker smile and stuff, because he's essentially, the Joker is now John Jones and Lex Luthor is now Superman. and I get that's like the main thing happening.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk about the still force stuff that's
Sure.
going on too?
Yeah, so it is definitely the turtle or tortoise or whatever his name is as the baby.
The turtle, yeah.
That was our theory, and that's right. There was a little like origin story of Grodd at the very beginning, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Baby Grodd, and he's manipulating like an explorer to just dance forever to the point where his feet grind into bone, and that was pretty cool. Sinestro.
Well, the baby is not actually the turtle, right? Like it's the turtle's like son or something.
Yeah, it's like the turtle and his children have not been able to access the speed or the still force exactly until now. Yeah. So
the source from the source wall busting open or whatever.
Right. Then there's Sinestro, who is harnessing the ultraviolet energy, and ends up destroying John Stewart's Green Lantern ring and drafting him as a member of his ultraviolet corps, along with just about everyone on Earth. Isn't that what they go? But then when we see the panel of his new corps, it's a bunch of aliens that look like any other Green Lantern corps. Yeah. So it's like maybe he's going around to the universes doing that too, but also like maybe he took away everyone from Earth. I don't know about that, but
yeah, we'll find out, I guess, because John Stewart's saying like, oh, his corps it's bigger than all of the other corps combined,
right?
But it like, is that really like that would be like millions?
Well, so every other corps, if you have 2 representatives from all 3,600 galaxies, the most they have is 7,200 members in each corps, and so it's like, so he has more than that. That's all it's saying,
I guess.
So even 10,000 is more. Well, I guess if you put them all combined.
He was saying it was combined. Yeah.
So 7 times 7,200. That's how.
This is a new video for us. How many members are in the
ultraviolet
corps?
Yeah. Anyway, so. What else happened? There was a fight between Aquaman and Wonder Woman that was like they're on board the Legion of Doom little Darth Vader head spaceship thing in the swamp, and when they get there, they find Grodd with the baby turtle, and Cheetah and Black Manta. So Aquaman and Wonder Woman are like, ooh, Cheetah, Black Manta, you're my arch enemy, and I'm going to fight you. But then Grodd's really telepathically making them believe that they're...
it's the Paradise Lost thing.
It is exactly Paradise Lost. But they're not, in the Justice League episode, they're not fighting giant demons. They're fighting their arch villains. So Yeah,
that was cool. I liked... I definitely prefer that origin for Grodd, that he's from Gorilla City, born in Gorilla City. Versus like the CW origin for Grodd is he's just a gorilla that was experimented on. But yeah, I definitely like that he for some reason he has psychic powers. Like
he was getting picked on by his like little kids too, and everyone was being like, "What, you talking to fish? You talking to gorillas? Talking to explorers, Grodd?
To humans?" And that's why in the Justice League movie, whenever Batman messes with Grodd for talking to people, he gets all angry.
Yeah, because that happens.
No, I'm liking this story so far because they're giving good focus to every character in the same kind of way that the Justice League cartoon did. But I hope that they don't that they don't just have a really strong start and then it just gets kind of stale like the Rebirth Justice League title. I started buying that because I was like, it's Justice League, I have to, right? And then whenever I was deciding which ones to get rid of, I was like, well, nothing interesting is really happening in the Justice League line.
I had that thought like even from the beginning of Rebirth, and I didn't buy Justice League. I was like, I was just not feeling it. I kind of knew. I was just like, this isn't going to be a good run. Even though I am kind of interested in the Christopher Priest stuff that he was doing just before Scott Snyder rebooted it, so I might try to find that storyline in trade paperback, but I skipped it for now. So
yeah, I just like obviously I like the lineup of characters in this, and I like that each one of them, like even the Flash, I could tell that that's maybe stuff that like the Still Force stuff is probably also happening in his book, I would guess, because he kind of keeps referencing like, yeah, like me and I told the Titans to look into it and stuff like that. Like,
and they are, the Titans are like exploring source wall ramifications in their book.
Yeah.
So
But
it's spun
I'm
out
not
of
reading that, so I don't know.
me neither. Yeah. I did buy a copy of Justice League Dark #1, but I have not read it yet. But I am excited. I'm excited to. It's
Yeah, it has Wonder Woman in it now, right? That's why
Yeah.
people are buying it.
well, no. So it's written by James Tynion IV, who is also writing detective
Yeah.
comics that you've been enjoying, and you might recognize the name. He did Batman Eternal and a bunch of
I
stuff
recognize
over
the
last
name
few
because
years.
I have to hashtag him whenever I post a comic relief.
Ah, yes. He did. There
that
you
he
go.
has written, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's good. He and Scott Snyder, like he was one of Scott's students at NYU.
Oh, okay.
And so he's kind of like been a protege for Scott Snyder over the years. But yeah, really good writer. I'm really interested in reading it. We've talked about a few things today. I don't know, like I don't want to go too esoteric in this podcast, just because that's not what this is about. But it's I found it really interesting that DC's dealing with all these topics of like, oh, there's a source wall and like someone broke it open and there are all these entities flooding in the world, sort of thing. And in relation to like, I've been like studying a bit of like the 1950s like Roswell alien crashes and stuff. And sort of like the occult getting mixed up into all that. And there's a really interesting similar sort of theory that like in the early 20th century, some occult wizards were able to breach open a door and let like entities into our world, and they closed it really fast, but then it's been like reopened again, and in the 60s, and like I don't know, just like as a way to explain the influx of like Mothman sightings and all this crazy stuff, you know. Chupacabra is appearing, and so it just comes across as like a really similar sort of like storytelling method where like, oh, someone opened the door and all these like crazy creatures are flooding in that we didn't even think were possible until we imagined it now, and here they are.
See, I thought you were going to start talking about like modern recent politics of like walls and people coming over borders and stuff. And I was like, oh no, Ted, don't get into this. What are we doing here?
No. Instead of going back to the 1950s and be like, people reported UFOs floating over the White House.
Yeah.
Eisenhower was talking to him. Yeah. No, there's a really good podcast. I'll give a quick shout out here. The Last Podcast on the Left is hilarious, and I listen to them a lot. They did a three-part series recently called Men in Black. So when you were talking earlier about the Men in Black, animated series and how that being created through the willpower, the sheer willpower of wanting that to happen. And just like their series called The Men in Black is all about how these like esoteric, shadowy people have appeared because of the collective consciousness willing them into existence.
Right.
And so when you said the Men in Black thing earlier in the episode, it just blew my mind for a second. I was trying to figure out like how to like bring this up later. And so I hope that wasn't too much of a weird esoteric rant, but
yeah, the hive mind put it in my brain to talk about.
Yeah, right. Crazy stuff, but I recommend that 3-part series.
Yeah,
it's really good. It's one of the guys there, Henry Zebrowski's known for his show on Adult Swim, Your Pretty Little Faces Going to Hell. These guys do a lot of interesting work.
I'm trying to find. I think I mentioned it before, maybe, but we did recently. We had a couple guys podcast like review the Legacies comic.
Yeah, it was called the Geeky Gentleman or something like that. What was it?
Oh yeah. All right, let me try to find this. I should have had this brought up.
I think I saved the link because it was really surreal to hear someone do a podcast about Legacies.
Yeah. Let me find the exact video though.
Gave us some good criticism and some nice praise.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to hear people actually talking about our comic. The Geeky Gentleman is correct. It's that's the name of the channel, or at least the show. They're just talking about like the Legacies issues that have come out so far, and they're very complimentary, and they gave us some constructive criticism, which was good. It's nice to hear any review of this. Right when the comic first came out, there were a handful of articles floating around of people talking about it that were also really fun to read. But yeah,
because it comes out so sporadically, I feel like it's
I understand why. Yeah, it's not constantly in the public eye or whatever, but it's it's nice to hear I always love hearing people tell me that it looks just like the show and all that stuff, because I'm always so hypercritical of every line that I draw in this stupid comic that I'm just like, oh no, his finger's a pixel too long. Like Bruce Timm wouldn't draw it like that. Oh my god, I suck and all this stuff. And then
Hypercritical about the story content too. It's like for issue number 5, we had to kind of like go back to the drawing board and totally. Like we have a bunch of characters we were going to use, and we realized like, oh wait, some of these we can't because of story reasons.
They weren't in the place that we thought they were. They weren't
episode reasons. It was like we had to go back and rewatch a couple of the episodes of the last season of JLU to really pinpoint which supervillains survived the final showdown with Darkseid.
Yeah.
So
and that we can use or can't
stuff.
use. Yeah, we'll talk in depth about that when I finally finish that issue. But so
well, we should say real quick, $15 or more on Patreon gets you the sneak peek of Legacies. True. We're working on issue 5 right now, and it's coming along. So if you hop on that Patreon, you can see some behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, we've got the Legacies DCAU Instagram is only for the patrons at that level. I was also going to mention that we've got right now a poll going on the Patreon for the $3 higher patrons that get to do that, which is voting for one of our bi-monthly Sunday videos. We have 2 Sunday videos a month. You get to vote on what one of them is. And so I've listed out. We have we might do a casting call episode finally again on Susan Eisenberg. We might do a video on whether poison ivy is a plant or a person, and we might do a video on how many members are in the Justice League. Those are the 3 options for you to go vote on.
I think poison ivy is a plant person.
That's true. Hey, don't give away. No one will want to watch the video anymore. Those are things. Patreon's got some cool stuff. We just recently did an overhaul. It's now Watchtower Database, so it's patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower, not JTS Entertainment anymore. It's still going all to the same place, all the same people, us, and it helps us get better videos made for you. It helps us get them out faster. It helps get Legacies stuff done faster. Over the course of time, eventually, hopefully this will be the only thing we do with our entire lives, because Ted doesn't do anything else. End of the podcast. Thank you for listening, everybody. We're out every other Monday on the Watchtower Database YouTube channel and iTunes, which is linked in this video if you're watching it as a video.
Can we get on Spotify? We should get on Spotify.
I have no idea. I'll find out.
Okay,
but
we're working on it
for a while.
We're working on it.
Ted's working on it.
I've had a few people ask me about that. So.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's a thing.
Yeah, we're on social media at DCAU Watchtower. That's also Patreon at DCAU Watchtower. Info at watchtowerdatabase.com is how you can email us. We're also nearing done with the new temporary homepage for watchtowerdatabase.com. Because right now it's just a really terrible video stuck on a background that I made like 3 years ago, and it's just been that. And I've wanted it to be someplace where you can just direct people, hey, go there to see everything that we do for all this stuff. Videos are out every Sunday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, in that order, back and forth. So we got Trivia Tuesdays tomorrow. Did you record more Trivia Tuesdays, Ted?
I've got 2 scripts written.
Okay. He's supposed to do that.
I'm gonna record them real soon.
If you're listening to this on Monday, pretend that Ted is just now gonna record them, and then I have to
edit it all in 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Subscribe, because why not? And that's it. Adam Mullen writes our music. I did that really terribly this time. We gotta.
That's fair.
I don't know. Should I say it? The interview we have coming up, just in case something goes wrong, or should I leave that always to be a surprise?
We can keep it a surprise for now.
Okay. We have several interviews in the works.
It's great.
This one coming up is pretty cool.
That's a surprise. So, I guess to end it, say my name, James. Say my name. Say my name. Get the power.
Shazam.
Get my power.
Shazam.
Say my name.
I can't remember what the Heisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg.
Shazam.
Yeah, if you say if you say Heisenberg, yeah, a lightning bolt comes down, you turn into Bryan Cranston with a cute little hat.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Okay, bye.